We have multiple stories to talk about on today's episode of the Rams Digest. We're going to break down the awards for the NFL. We're going to talk about some of the highlights, obviously some of the key winners. We're also going to break down one Rams player that took home an award on the night. We're also going to talk about Matthew Stafford's wife, Kelly Stafford, what she had to say on her recent podcast. We're going to break down her and what she was saying about Matthew Stafford, and as well as Cooper Kupp, the move that the Rams made, all on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Josh Redon. Remember, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor and press that subscribe button now, as 78.3% of you guys are watching the videos, but you're still not subscribed to the channel. So do me a favor, press that subscribe button. Remember, it doesn't cost you a thing, and that way you don't miss any daily Rams content here at the Rams Digest. But first, let's get into this first bit of news here, as we have Defensive Rookie of the Year. It is official. We can officially say that Jared Verse is the Defensive Rookie of the Year. He is the first Defensive Rookie of the Year for the Rams since Aaron Donald. So kind of, a full circle moment for the Rams. They wanted to move on and replace Aaron Donald. Well, they got a similar, if you will, impact player in Jared Verse. Maybe, of course, hard to live up to the best defensive player of all time, but Rams pass rusher Jared Verse named 2024 AP NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. Obviously a good start in terms of trying to chase 99 and all the accolades he accumulated in his career. So, obviously something that's pretty cool to see for the Rams. To have Jared Verse have such a great season and have it be acknowledged is also important, because there are many great players who have great seasons and they don't always necessarily get the credit they deserve. Maybe the votes kind of go a certain way and all that. And so we're happy to see that Jared Verse got what we already expected he was going to get, but still nice to officially be named the Defensive Rookie of the Year. And then we get to talk about briefly again, I want to acknowledge the Rams posting no debate with the 8 logo. I kind of like that. Jared Verse, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Like I said, no, not really a debate in general. But speaking of 99, he gives him a shout out on Twitter. Here is the Rams posting the video, a shout out from 99. Sorry that I got the kind of crazy screenshot here, but it was Aaron Donald giving him a shout out. Very excited to see Jared Verse win Rookie of the Year. Obviously, you see in the screenshot there, very well deserved for Jared Verse, and that's coming from 99 himself, the great Aaron Donald. So shout out to Jared Verse, of course. Overall, great season from him. Still can get better, right? We talked about that 4.5 sacks, maybe third on the team in terms of sacks. So, I think he might, maybe third. So overall, right, we could see improvement from him in terms of actually getting to the quarterback, finishing off those plays with sacks, but him getting those pressures, leading the team in pressures, obviously allowed for guys like Kobe Turner, allowed for guys like Braden Fisk, Byron Young to go get the quarterback in the meantime, while all the attention was kind of held on slowing down Jared Verse. And it really worked for the Rams all year long, mostly toward the second half of the season as well, as they slowly improved together as a team. We see how great this unit can be all together. So shout out to Jared Verse for winning the award. But this goes, and you got to shout out everybody else in that defensive line, as they've all helped each other. And Jared Verse, of course, a huge part of that. So shout out to Verse, shout out to Braden Fisk, shout out to everybody else who was nominated as well. And then in terms of generally speaking, I don't have any screenshots for you guys, but I did want to pull up just some highlights from the night. We'll talk about comeback player of the year. Joe Burrow was the winner on that one. MVP of the season, Josh Allen. A little bit of a, maybe you guys can have a conversation about that. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen pretty much deserved that one. If not Saquon Barkley, probably would have been nice to have Saquon Barkley win. Coach of the Year, Kevin O'Connell, and Walter Payton Man of the Year award, Eric Armstead. So just a couple highlights there. A couple more highlights we can talk about actually is this situation here. First of all, Kobe Turner. Forgot about this little screenshot here. You see him dancing a little bit, doing a little thing before he went and announced Jared Verse as Defensive Rookie of the Year. So he kind of gave a little performance out there, which is pretty cool to see. Kobe Turner, Jared Verse, all these guys are such fun characters, and I think that's what makes it so fun to root for them at the same time, right? As great of players as they also are great people and funny, entertaining people off the field, and it's pretty awesome that this is all part of the same Rams defensive line. But I did want to pull up this story here. Snoop Dogg, kind of a crazy joke he made in the middle of the event. Snoop Dogg didn't hold back, as you see here, NFL Sports, our Fox Sports posting on NFL Twitter, saying Bill Belichick's girlfriend wasn't even born yet, when he was talking about some of the things he saw right back when the Cowboys won in the 90s, and the Chiefs weren't very good back in the day. And then he kind of drops this joke here, and you see her reaction, Bill Belichick's girlfriend, Bill Belichick kind of awkwardly laughing it off. But I think the funniest reaction of it all was exactly how I felt for Max Crosby, as That's pretty much what I felt when I heard him make that joke. It was like a, oof, no way he just made that joke. And that's kind of what Max Crosby's face says there. It's just kind of a, oh my goodness. Do I laugh? Do I not laugh? That was pretty crazy. Hilarious, but I don't want to laugh too loud because that is crazy to say in the middle of everything. So, especially because she's there, right? Exactly. That was all kind of crazy. But super hilarious moment from Snoop Dogg. Shout out to Snoop Dogg for making his jokes. And overall, the awards, I didn't really watch the whole thing, every second of it, but I was watching snippets here and there, and overall, it was fine. I feel like it's kind of difficult, these award shows. They're even the Grammys and the Oscars, right, which is kind of what the NFL awards is seeming to kind of turn into. Even those regular award shows, right, it's kind of really not as entertaining to watch anymore. And so for me, I kind of like watching highlights rather than watching the whole thing. But to each their own. If you guys like watching the whole thing, that's up to you. Moving on from that, though, the biggest story of the episode, I think. Kelly Stafford's a dog. That's what I've learned from listening to her podcast. And what I mean by that is it's actually her calling herself a dog. And I actually may be able to pull the clip up here, but let's pull up the screenshot first. Kelly Stafford says here from this tweet, Rams Kelly Stafford is preparing for a potential trade. And you see the kind of shocked emoji there. But I'm not necessarily sure that's true. I'm not necessarily sure that's as far as I would go and say that. But here is the clip of what she said. And I'll just play it for you guys from Twitter here.
I honestly wasn't planning on discussing this, but hell, why not? My husband, wants to win. He's not trying to put a team in a bad situation. If you're catching my drift, you're catching my drift. I will say that the trading away of Cooper, I guess I'm confused because we were one play away from going to the NFC Championship. And I think if we go, we win. I have to be the dog in this situation, being like, I want the respect for him that he deserves. Yes, I love the city of LA. I love the city of LA. With that being said, I love an adventure.
So overall, and I actually did want to make sure, first of all, I wanted to play the clip just so you guys can kind of hear the kind of cut up version of the screenshot that I have here, and just to kind of hear what she had to say and the snippet that they kind of pieced together. So we could hear from the podcast. But I did go and listen to her podcast episode, which I highly encourage you guys to do. Because one, she is a fairly entertaining person. That's why she has a podcast. That's why people listen to her podcast. She's entertaining. It's a good podcast overall in general. I mean, I know how it is. Football fans, for some reason, can get weird about NFL players' wives being in media and things like that. I think that it's fine. It's a podcast. I mean, it's fine to have a podcast. People are going to listen. She's Kelly Stafford, and she is kind of a dog, right? She has that kind of dog mentality. She does kind of have a I don't really care, I'm gonna say what I want to say kind of personality. And I know maybe that may rub Rams fans the wrong way, but overall, I don't think she said anything too malicious. I think what she was saying, if you really break down the entire clip, is they traded Cooper Kupp. That's not fun. We know we love him as much as as great as he's been to the Rams organization. He's been even greater off the field. And I think Rams fans can also relate to this. We love Cooper Kupp, right? Everyone loves Cooper Kupp. And so Kelly Stafford, of course, is going to have a different relationship to Cooper Kupp than we do as fans, right? And so, of course, she has a close relationship. She's not really happy with seeing, I'm sure, his family have to be moved in this kind of situation where maybe Cooper Kupp has been vocal about not wanting to leave LA. Matthew Stafford probably under contract, or he literally under contract for next season, losing one of his main guys, right? His main targets. It is interesting, confusing. Like she said, maybe a lot of Rams fans can relate to that as well. She's kind of saying like, well, we were so close. We were 1 or 2 plays away, and we probably could have been in the Super Bowl if we would have just finished off versus the Eagles, right? Not who's to say what was going to happen versus Washington, but let's be real. If we played the Washington Commanders, I think a lot of Rams fans would be pretty confident going into that game, and that would have been a whole battle in its own. But overall, you were 1 or 2 plays away from possibly being in the Super Bowl. It felt like, right? Overall, generally speaking. And so that's where she's saying, why are we now breaking up this team and moving on from Cooper Kupp, and what's the kind of the direction we're going? And now there's rumors in general about possibly trading Matthew Stafford. We've been talking about this since the season ended. Maybe you trade Matthew Stafford. Maybe you release Cooper Kupp. Now we're talking about trading Cooper Kupp. Does that mean Matthew Stafford will be traded? That's what I've been saying. A lot of Rams fans are pretty upset with me in the comments, but this is the reality that we're living in, to a point where Matthew Stafford's wife is even like, I don't know what's going to happen. Essentially, when you break down what she said, she is just saying she doesn't know what's going to happen. she feels like Matthew Stafford is going to lay on a sword for his team, right? He's gonna he'll go to battle for his team. He's always gonna defend his team. He's a professional. We know who Matthew Stafford is. When he was in Detroit, he didn't want to bash Detroit. He didn't want to leave Detroit. He wanted to win a championship in Detroit. Comes to LA, he has that same kind of energy about the organization here, and it doesn't matter what happens, what they say in the media, he's always going to defend the Rams. And I think that's where Matthew Stafford's perspective is. That's why Kelly Stafford's like, she feels like she has to be a dog in a situation in terms of she wants to defend her husband's honor, and if he does get disrespected by people saying he's 37 years old, he can't win, whatever, then fine, and trade him, and she'll be the one to kind of step up and fight and kind of defend her husband. So that's kind of where she's coming from. Overall, I think it's a very understandable stance that she's taking, and overall, she did say and emphasize multiple times, you've listened to the snippet, they love LA, they want to stay in LA, but they also are not afraid of a trade. They are not afraid to face a trade head on. She's not afraid to try to go, explore a new city, live in a new city, take her kids or 4 kids. Oh, they're going to lose their friends. She even said there's 4 of them, right? So they all have a built-in friendship. So they can be friends in a new city together, and they'll build new friendships, and it'll teach them to power through some kind of adversity in their life a little bit, right? And that's kind of what she was acknowledging of like, if we get traded, then cool. We'll deal with it. We'll handle it. If we don't, cool. We love LA. We want to stay here anyway. So that's kind of her perspective. That's where she's coming from. She's not saying the Rams are going to trade Matthew Stafford. She's not saying that's what they want. She's not saying they're going to request a trade. She's just simply saying they're a little confused in the situation right now. They're trading Cooper Kupp, but they're going to keep Matthew Stafford. We talked about this. If you're going to go all in with Matthew Stafford, I'd rather you extend Cooper Kupp so you can lower his cap hit, maybe trade for Myles Garrett, maybe be aggressive with moves in that sense. Maybe not for Myles Garrett, but for many other players in general. Offensive line help, defensive line help, linebacker room help, all that good stuff. That's kind of the mentality I had. So I think we all are kind of confused. You're going to trade Cooper Kupp, okay, but now what are we going to do moving forward? And what is the plan? And that's kind of where Kelly Stafford's coming from. That's where Matthew Stafford, I'm sure, is sitting at as well. We'll have to wait and see what the Rams are going to do. But overall, I don't think he's going to get traded. I think Matthew Stafford will be a Los Angeles Ram for the remainder of his career. It's just ultimately up to Les Snead, this entire staff, to see what they want to do moving forward. Cooper Kupp is making too much money for the production, and I think that's why he's ultimately probably getting traded, and that's kind of where it is, I think, in my opinion. But we'll have to wait and see what Les Snead is planning. So you guys let me know. Is Cooper Kupp getting traded? Matthew Stafford getting traded? You guys let me know what you guys feel in the comments below, how you feel about it in general. I don't really have a prediction for it right now. I just feel like it's interesting hearing her comments. It does make me think about a trade for Matthew Stafford a little bit more, but she didn't say they're getting traded. She didn't think that's what they're feeling. It's just kind of generally speaking, kind of her thoughts on the situation. But last but not least, the Super Bowl. Let's talk about it because nobody is talking about it. And I did want to pull this kind of little joke up here. Here is the NBA trade deadline, the Krusty Krab. Everybody lined around the block to see what's going on in the trade deadline this week. I even made a video, right, talking about my reaction to Luka Doncic becoming a Los Angeles Laker and the Lakers being aggressive, trying to win now, getting a Mark Williams, blah, 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 all that good stuff. We're all thinking about the NBA right now, the entire social media world, when we should be talking about the Super Bowl this Sunday, yet instead, and we'll pull this up here, the Super Bowl is being treated more like, I can't even, for some reason, it's not letting me get to it, but the Super Bowl is getting treated like the chum bucket in this scenario right now, and that's kind of where we're at in the media world in general, social media world, if you will. So, funny little joke there, but I did want to talk about the Super Bowl because I am thinking about the Super Bowl. I'm actually going to have a whole Super Bowl party kind of vibe this year. Sometimes I have a little more laid back Super Bowl vibe. This year we're kind of going a little more in. Going to have some good food, have some good friends. We're going to eat. We're going to party a little bit, and we're going to watch. Hopefully, that's my kind of hope is that that the Chiefs end up taking this one home. I get it. I know not everybody loves that opinion, but that's kind of where I'm sitting. You guys let me know where you guys are sitting in terms of who you're rooting for. Overall, my prediction is this. I think the NFL doesn't have a stake in who wins. I think they care, of course, who's competing for a Super Bowl, don't get me wrong, but they care about ratings and all that. I don't think the NFL is rigged. Maybe it's just my blind fandom here. But I of the NFL, I don't want it to be rigged because I want to be a fan of true competitive nature. I think the Chiefs are just really good, man. I think the Chiefs are really good. I think their offense is really good. I think Mahomes is just that good. I think they had gotten really lucky all season long, but and some calls are crazy and they have gone their way. Some calls, I think fans are going a little too crazy saying that they're this and that. I think we need to relax. Some calls are questionable. Not every single call goes their way. Not every single call is winning them games. I think we need to kind of relax on that stuff. But it is suspicious. I get it. Overall, though, I don't think the NFL is rigged. I think the Chiefs are just better, and I think the Chiefs, even though the Eagles are a very, very tough team, you've seen Kelsey come out and say that this is probably their biggest test. Many people have said this is Mahomes' biggest test in the Super Bowl eras that he's been winning the last couple of years. Maybe it is. Because of Saquon Barkley, because of the offense for the Philadelphia Eagles, how they can score off just one 60-yard run out of nowhere from Saquon Barkley. But I think Steve Spagnuolo, that whole coaching staff, is going to figure out how to slow down Saquon Barkley, at least to a point where you're not giving up 60-yard runs. I think that's reasonable to say they can slow him down. We've seen Saquon Barkley been slowed down in New York before, right? So maybe going back to some of that tape, of course, different offensive line, different game plan, all that good stuff. Containing Jalen Hurts, slowing down the run game from Saquon Barkley, obviously double teaming A.J. Brown a little bit and hoping that you force Jalen Hurts to throw a little bit. That's kind of where I think the Chiefs will go. I'm going to predict that the Chiefs win their third Super Bowl in a row. We witness history, and we see them win 3 in a row. They win the game 28-21. Boring score, but 28-21. 28-24. 28-24. The Chiefs win. That's my prediction for the Super Bowl on Sunday. You guys hit me in the comments with your Super Bowl prediction down below. That's going to do it for me on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Giron, and I am out.